She slammed the spoon down, sauce splattering onto the stove as she whirled on me, eyes sharp with fury. I make the rules in this relationship. Don't forget that, she snapped. I blinked at her, more stunned than angry. Thanks for clarifying, I muttered. That was all I could manage before walking out. Later, when the police were the ones reciting what the real rules of the law were, she wasn't so quick to argue anymore. I'm 29, and until last Tuesday I thought I understood my relationship. 3 years with Veronica, 31, and only then did I see it with complete clarity. What started as a simple back and forth about weekend plans became a turning point. We were in the kitchen. I mentioned wanting to see my brother for his birthday on Saturday. Without even turning away from the pot she was stirring, she said, "No, we're going to my friend's engagement party." I tried reasoning. "We can do both. I promised him I'd be there. We'll hit the party after." The spoon clattered against the pot, red sauce splashing across the burner. She turned on me, eyes blazing. "Are you seriously questioning me right now?" "I'm not questioning you," I said evenly. "I'm just trying to compromise." That's when she marched up, stabbing her finger into my chest. "Listen carefully, because I'm not repeating myself. I make the rules here. If I say we're doing something, that's final. End of discussion." Her words froze me in place. 3 years of telling myself she was just strong-willed, confident, maybe a little demanding, but hearing her outright declare it? That was different. It wasn't passion. It was ownership. "Thanks for making it clear," I said and left the room. She called after me, shouting something about dinner being ready soon, and that I better be back at the table. But I didn't stop. I grabbed my wallet, keys, and phone and walked out. 10 minutes later, I was at my buddy Derek's place. He opened the door, looked at my face, and silently handed me a beer. "That's Derek for you. Been that way since college." It took me half a bottle before I finally told him everything. Not just the kitchen blow-up, but all of it. How she'd slowly taken over my finances because she was better with money. How my friends had first become our friends, and then somehow only hers, while mine were dismissed as childish. How every holiday, every family visit, had to be cleared on her schedule. How she combed through my phone because real couples don't hide things. Derek leaned back, shaking his head. "Man, that's not a relationship. That's a dictatorship." I peeled the label off my bottle, staring at the little strips of paper. Guess I needed to actually hear her say it to believe it. My phone buzzed nonstop. 23 texts. 9 calls. They started furious, then morphed into concern, then circled back to rage. The last one read, "If you're not back in 30 minutes, I'm changing the locks." The irony? It was my apartment. I'd been renting it for 2 years before she even moved in. She wasn't on the lease. No legal right. But in her mind, that didn't matter. "You going back?" Derek asked. "Eventually. Just not tonight." I slept on his couch. When I woke, my phone showed 52 unread messages, 17 missed calls, and 3 voicemails I deleted without playing. I didn't need to hear her voice to know the script. Instead of going home, I threw myself into work. Had lunch with a coworker I hadn't spoken to in months, because Veronica didn't like her. For the first time in a long time, I felt like me. Not managed, not monitored, just human. That evening, I finally drove back to my place. Her car was parked in the visitor spot, as always, because she'd never bothered to get a resident pass. Getting her name on anything official meant commitment, responsibility. That wasn't her style. Inside, she was curled up on the couch, tissues all around her. When she saw me, her face shifted instantly, anger gone, tears streaming. "Baby, I was so worried. Where were you? Why didn't you answer?" "I needed space," I told her. "Space to think about what? Us. Are you breaking up with me?" "Maybe. Probably." The tears dried in a blink, like a switch had flipped. She stood, eyes narrowing, finger pointing again. "You can't break up with me. I decide when this ends. Not you. I make the rules, remember?" "Right," I said quietly. "And I don't agree to those rules anymore." She laughed. Actually laughed in my face. "That's not how this works. You don't get to disagree." "Then it doesn't work," I said. You're being ridiculous. Go take a shower. I'll order food. We'll forget this ever happened. Veronica, I want you to move out. She froze. Excuse me. This is my apartment. You need to find another place. You can't kick me out. I live here. You're not on the lease. You don't pay rent. You're a guest. A guest who's overstayed their welcome. Her face cycled through disbelief, shock, pain, then landed on fury. You think you can just throw me away after everything I've done for you? I made you better. I fixed you. I didn't need fixing. Yes, you did. Your clothes were pathetic. Your friends were losers. Your family is garbage. Without me, you're nothing. Then I'll be nothing, I said evenly. But I'll be nothing in my own apartment. You have 30 days. Her eyes darted to a vase on the table, one I'd bought years before I ever met her. For a second, I thought she'd smash it at my head. Instead, she placed it down carefully, her lips curling into something between a sneer and a smirk. This isn't over, she hissed. Yeah, I said, walking toward my room. It is. I closed the door and locked it. She pounded on it for a while. But I didn't open it. 6 days ago. She left me standing in the kitchen with her voice still ringing in my ears. She had shouted that I'd regret this, that I needed her, that no one else would ever tolerate me the way she did. Eventually, she stormed off, and I honestly believed that was the last of it. I figured I'd do everything by the book, serve her the notice, give her 30 days, and she'd pack her things and move on. We'd separate and finally close this chapter. I couldn't have been more wrong. After sharing what happened before, a lot of people warned me that things would probably get worse before they got better. Turns out, they were absolutely right. The morning after I told Veronica she had a month to move out, I expected either cold silence or her making some attempt to reconcile. What I got instead was her pretending like nothing had ever happened. I walked into the kitchen to find her cooking a full breakfast spread, eggs, bacon, pancakes, dressed in nothing but one of my old t-shirts, humming like it was just another normal morning. She smiled and said, "Morning, baby. I made your favorite." I reminded her, "Veronica, we broke up. We talked about this." She didn't even blink. "No, you talked. I didn't agree to anything," she said, sliding a plate in front of me as if she hadn't heard a word. "Eat up. We've got a Costco run today. We don't have plans. We're not together anymore," I told her. She tilted her head, confused, like I'd just said something in a language she didn't understand. "Don't be ridiculous. Couples fight. That's all this is. Now eat your breakfast before it gets cold." I didn't. I grabbed a granola bar and walked out. When I came home that evening, she'd completely rearranged the living room. The couch, the TV, every piece of furniture had been shifted around. She'd even added throw pillows I'd never seen in my life. "What did you do?" I asked. "I fixed the energy. The whole space was wrong." "No wonder you've been so negative lately," she said casually, as if she lived there. "You can't just move my things." "Our things," she corrected. "And yes, I can. I make the decisions about our home." That night, after she went to bed, I moved everything back the way it was. But the following day, she took it further. When I came home, my gaming setup, my PC, console, monitors, everything, was gone. I found it stuffed in the closet, unplugged and crammed together. "Where's my computer?" I demanded. "You spend too much time on games. It's not healthy," she said. "You need a break, so I decided you're doing a detox." "That's a $3,000 setup," I snapped. "You had no right to touch it. You could have spent that money on us, on building a future. But relax, I'm not throwing it away. You'll get it back once you prove you can handle your time like an adult." I immediately pulled everything out and started setting it up again. She just leaned against the doorway, watching with a smug look on her face. "See? This is why you need me. You don't have any self-control." "Get out of my room," I told her. "Our room," she corrected again, walking off. That was when I decided to install a lock on my bedroom door. The second she saw me drilling into the doorframe, she completely lost it. "You can't lock me out. I'm your girlfriend, ex-girlfriend," I said firmly. "And yes, I can lock my door in my own apartment." She lunged for the drill, tried to grab it from me. In the scuffle, She stumbled and brushed against the wall. Instantly, she clutched her arm and glared at me. "Did you just assault me?" she hissed. "What? No. You tried to grab the drill, you slipped. You pushed me. I could call the cops right now." "Go ahead," I told her. "I'll show them the lease, my name only, and ask them to escort you out." She backed off, but I could see something shifting in her eyes. She was already plotting her next move. Day 3 was when things took an even darker turn. At around 3 in the morning, I woke to loud banging noises. I went into the living room and found her with a hammer, hanging framed photos of us on the walls. Pictures from vacations, family events, everything. "It's 3 in the morning. What are you doing?" I demanded. "I couldn't sleep," she said calmly. "Thought I'd make this place more of a home. The neighbors are going to complain." "Let them," she shrugged. "I don't care what anyone thinks. I make the decisions here." Sure enough, management called me the next day about noise complaints. They reminded me that since I was the only one on the lease, I was fully responsible for my guests' behavior. When I came home that evening, I discovered she had broken into my home office. She was sitting at my desk, typing away on my work laptop. "What the hell are you doing?" "Fixing your resume. It's awful. No wonder you're stuck in that dead-end job," she said without even looking up. "That's my work laptop. You can't." Too late. She had already sent emails to my boss, letting him know I was looking for new opportunities and wanted to transition out of my current role. I spent the next morning scrambling to explain that my ex had gotten into my computer, that I wasn't leaving my job. Luckily, my boss was understanding, but he also made it clear: keep my personal mess out of the workplace. When I confronted her, she just shrugged. "You need a better job." I was helping. "You could have gotten me fired." I snapped. "Don't be so dramatic. I know what's best for you," she said, as if I was a child. That was the final straw. I had a formal eviction notice drawn up, had it notarized, and handed it to her. She laughed when she read it. "This is adorable. You think a piece of paper changes anything? It means you have 30 days to get out, or I'll have you legally removed," I told her. "I'd love to see you try," she smirked. That night, she made a show of cooking dinner. She prepared my favorite ribeye steak, opened a nice bottle of wine, lit candles, and wore the birthday dress I'd bought her. "Can we please just talk like adults?" she asked sweetly when I walked in. Against my better judgment, I sat down thinking maybe, just maybe, we could end things on a civil note. She looked at me across the table, her voice softening. "I know I can come on too strong sometimes, but it's only because I love you. I see your potential. I know what you could be with the right guidance." I set my fork down. "I don't need guidance, Veronica. I need a partner, not someone trying to control my life." But she just smiled faintly, almost pitying me. "Oh, but you do need guidance. Look at your life before me. You'd been stuck in place, same job, same friends, same routine. She always said she pushed you to be better, while accusing you of forcing her into a mold. One night across the table, she reached for your hand, but you pulled away. 'Don't you love me?' she asked. You did, but love wasn't supposed to be about control. She called it structure, leadership. Every relationship needs a leader, she insisted, and I'm better suited for it. You're indecisive. People walk all over you. I've never walked over you. I've elevated you. There's a difference." You told her you wanted her out. She laughed and said everyone wants things they can't have. To her, life was negotiation and she never lost. Then she stood, calmly began clearing dishes, and out of nowhere hurled a plate against the wall. The crash left shards across the floor. "Oops," she said flatly. You spent an hour cleaning as she lounged on the couch, making snide remarks each time you passed. The next day, your lock was scratched and barely functional. When you asked, she denied everything, claiming maybe you'd done it yourself. That's when you set up a hidden camera. 2 nights later, the footage showed her trying to pick the lock at 2 a.m. with a bobby pin. When confronted, she shrugged. "I needed my earrings from your room." You told her she didn't have earrings in there. "Yes, I do. You just don't notice." You pointed out it was breaking and entering. She smirked. "You can't break into your own home. This is my place too. I've lived here for 2 years. I get mail here. Prove otherwise. That's when it hit you. She wasn't bluffing. In her mind, she really believed she owned not only the apartment but you. Still, you weren't defenseless. You'd been documenting everything. Texts where she claimed ownership, incidents of her moving your belongings, footage of the attempted break-in, the broken plate, even emails to your boss. You thought you were ready to pursue a restraining order. But 2 days ago, things reached a point you hadn't imagined. You called your brother Ethan and asked him to stay for a while. He arrived the next morning, suitcase in hand. Veronica bristled immediately. Who's this? My brother, you said. I wasn't consulted about house guests. You don't need to be consulted. My apartment, my guest. Ethan just smiled and greeted her. His presence made her tone shift. She couldn't pull her late-night stunts with another witness around, but instead she escalated in public. She began phoning your workplace, claiming to be your wife and saying there was a family emergency. When that didn't work, she called again insisting you were unfit for work and in crisis. HR pulled you aside, asked if everything was okay, and then blocked her number from the system. Word spread anyway. That evening, Veronica exploded about being cut off. How dare they stop me from contacting my boyfriend? Ex-boyfriend. You corrected. You're having a breakdown, and I'm the only one who cares, she snapped. Ethan stepped in, telling her you were setting boundaries. She turned on him immediately, accusing him of poisoning you. You finally told her straight. She had done that herself when she declared she made all the rules. She fired back. I never said supreme ruler. I said I make the rules because someone has to. You're not capable. Get out, Veronica. Make me. Then came her biggest mistake. She grabbed a kitchen knife. Not lunging, not threatening, just holding it as she ranted. She waved it around while shouting that you'd regret this, that she'd given you her best years, that she wasn't about to let go after investing so much. While she spiraled, Ethan quietly called 911. And that was the moment everything changed. Because someone who thought she could bend reality finally collided with the people who enforce it. The knife glinted under the light as Veronica stood frozen in the kitchen. She didn't even seem to realize how dangerous she looked, clutching it in her hand when the police knocked on the door. 2 officers, a man and a woman, stepped inside after I let them in. Ma'am, please set the knife down, the female officer said calmly. Veronica looked baffled. Why? It's my knife. From my kitchen. Put it down, please. She slammed it onto the counter with a huff. This is absurd. He's trying to kick me out of my own home. I handed over my lease and explained the eviction notice I'd already given her. She's not a tenant. She's a guest refusing to leave. I'm not a guest. Veronica shouted. I live here. I make the rules here. The male officer cocked his head. Ma'am, are you listed on the lease? No. But I get mail here. That means this is legally my residence. That might prove you live here, the officer said evenly. But it doesn't mean you own or control the property. The person on the lease has asked you to leave. That's his right. You can't do that. I decide when I leave. The female officer stepped closer. That's not how it works. You're not on the lease. If the leaseholder wants you gone, you need to go. I don't care about your laws, Veronica snapped. I make the rules in this relationship. The 2 officers exchanged a look. The male officer said carefully, the rules that matter are the legal ones. You don't get to ignore them because you don't like them. Yes, I can. He's nothing without me. I control everything here. Then she made her second mistake. She shoved past the female officer, lunging toward me. You'll regret this. The officer caught her arm. Ma'am, do not put your hands on me. Don't touch me. I'll sue you. I'll sue everyone. Veronica screamed, swinging at the officer. She missed, but that was enough. They moved quickly, cuffing her in my living room as she thrashed and yelled about her so-called authority. Tell them, she screamed at me. Tell them I'm the one who makes the decisions. I shook my head. That's the problem. It doesn't work that way. Even as they dragged her out, she shouted threats over her shoulder. This is temporary. I'll be back. You can't survive without me. When the door closed, silence swallowed the room. My friend Ethan exhaled. Well, that was a lot. Later I learned she was charged with assaulting an officer, resisting arrest, and criminal threatening with a knife. She spent the night in jail. The next morning, unbelievably, she called me demanding bail. No, I said flatly. You have to. I'm your girlfriend. No, you're not. And I don't. This is your fault. If you just followed my rules. I hung up. Her sister ended up bailing her out and came by to pack Veronica's things. She looked embarrassed. I'm sorry. She's always been like this. Believes the world should bend to her. Why didn't anyone warn me? I asked. Would you have listened? She's very good at appearing normal in the beginning. We boxed up her clothes, toiletries, even the decor she'd forced on the apartment. At the photos she'd hung during a manic late-night spree, her sister asked, "Keep them or toss them?" Toss them. Before leaving, she warned me. This isn't over. She doesn't give up easily. She was right. Veronica tried everything, using friends, family, even fake accounts to contact me. But the restraining order tied to her bail conditions made each attempt illegal. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my workplace. Security called the police, and back to jail she went for violating bail. In court, she represented herself and insisted the order was invalid. She told the judge that my decisions required her approval, that her relationship authority overruled the law. The judge was not amused. She was sentenced to 6 months for assaulting an officer and repeated violations. Her sister told me she still calls from jail, ranting about how she's in charge and how this is all a misunderstanding. It's been a month now. I finally changed the locks properly, got a new phone, started therapy. It's surprising how much damage 3 years of control can do. But I feel lighter. I see friends without asking permission. I visit my family without bargaining. I can play video games without worrying she'll hide my console. I make my own choices again. Last week, my buddy Derek asked how I was holding up. Better, I told him. Turns out when someone insists they make all the rules, what they're really saying is they don't respect any. He grinned. So you'll date again someday? Eventually. But the second someone tries to pull that I make the rules nonsense, I'm done. No second chances. Good boundaries, I learned, are everything. And for anyone else stuck with a controlling partner, remember, their made-up authority doesn't override the law. Document everything. Reach out for help. Leave. And when they show you who they are, believe them the first time. I'm finally free. And I plan to live by my own rules.